Hey guys, welcome to another PHP video, and today we're going to be going over the if statement. Go ahead and open up your notepad and we'll get started immediately. The if statement is just a statement that checks information and does other things based on that information. So let's create our basic PHP document and set a variable. We'll call it my int, again, equals 25. Now, to run an if statement, you just type the keyword if, and then you have some, we'll just type this is true, do this. So if whatever is in the parentheses is true, then you have opening curly bracket, do whatever you want to do, closing curly bracket. The curly brackets, if you've never done any programming languages before, they're very common for blocks of code, which means you do multiple things. So, and you have it in the block. If you only do one thing, you don't need the curly brackets. You can just type the one thing here and then it ends. But if you have more than one thing, you need the curly brackets around it. And that goes for a lot of things, which we'll be discussing later on. So if this is true, then do this. So right here we want to type a kind of like a query statement. We want to ask it, is this true? And for that we'll do myInt greater than 25. MyInt is 25, so it's not greater. So if that is true, then we're going to, we'll just leave the parentheses or the curly brackets there, even though I'm only doing one statement just for the sake of the tutorial, so you can see them in action. But you don't need them if you're only doing one statement. We'll echo the value of myInt if it is true. So let's go ahead and save this. We'll do it as if.php. Change save as type to all files. I'm going to make sure you save it inside your Apache htdocs or somewhere inside there. And then we'll go ahead and go to my projects folder, which is where I saved it, and find if.php right here. Now nothing happens. That's because myInt is not greater than 25. It is 25. So if we change greater than to a double equal sign, which is basically asking if it's equal to 25, and load it again, it echoes out 25. That's because myInt is equal to 25, so it's going to run whatever in this block of code here. Now, you can do multiple types of statements up here. There's the and or operators. We'll get in that in just a second. So I'll type that up here so I don't forget. Alright, so there's also an else statement, which is else if none of the statements in this specific if query are true, then it'll do whatever in the else statement. So we'll just echo statement was false. Then we'll change this back to greater than 25. Run if the statement was false. So what it's doing is it's checking to see if myInt is greater than 25, which is not, so it's going to skip that if statement. And then there's an else statement, and it's going to run that because that was not true. Echo statement was false. So that's if and else. Now there's also one other thing, else if. Now you can keep running these down the lines. So if myInt is greater than 25, echo greater than 25. Else if myInt is less than 25, echo less than 25. And then else we're going to echo is 25. So if it's greater than 25, it's going to echo 25 and then skip the rest of the statements corresponding with that if statement, which would be all the else ifs and else after that. And if it's not greater than 25, it's going to go down the next one. Else if is less than 25. If it is less than 25, it'll say that, and then it's done. But if it's not greater than or less than 25, then it has to be 25. So it's going to run into the else statement, which says 25. So we're going to go ahead and save it and run it. Is 25. So you can see it definitely worked. And keep in mind that you don't need all of these. You don't have to use an else if or an else when in your if statements. They're optional, but you can use them, and they can help ease the and actually they open up the possibilities of what you can do. So that's basically if statements. They're not that hard, and so now I'm going to go ahead and show you the and or that we were talking about earlier. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the else if and else statement. If my int, we'll change my int to 30. We'll say if my int is greater than 25. Now the and is a double and sign, and my int will do less than 100. Now we're going to go ahead and run this. Return true. We'll echo that. And refresh the page, and it returned true. So basically it did test, and my int was greater than 25 and less than 100 because it's 30. Now you can keep doing these ands on and on and on, and continue to test to make sure different information equals different information. But there's also an or, which is a double vertical pipe, and that is above your enter key where your backslash is usually. If you hold shift when you press your backslash, you'll get that pipe. You want to do a double pipe. Now it's going to see if my int is greater than 25 or my int is less than 100. Now we'll change this to 10 because 10 is not greater than 25. But we're going to go ahead and run it, and it still says return true. That's because ors can do either or, basically. It wasn't greater than 25, but it was less than 100. And it says or here, not and. So that returned true still. And that's basically the if statement. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and there will be more coming soon.